Hello, my friends. Happy November 26th, and welcome to Master MicroStrategy, where we are working on mastering the genius that is Michael Saylor 7 days a week. And we have a lot to talk about today, my friends. But remember, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinions, information that I found. Please consult a financial professional before making any decisions. And here we go. It's looking like it's going to be potentially another pullback day for MicroStrategy. Who knows what the day will bring? I would love to be proven wrong. But pullbacks are natural. They're healthy. This is what flushes out the system and allows you to go back up and potentially at some point to the moon. And let's check out the MSTR dash tracker where you can see yesterday the stock price pulled back about 4% to $403. The S&P 500 dropped to 109 of 500. What I do love is that the Bitcoin value per share is now up to $154 per share. So just go ahead and multiply your shares by that number. And I mean, that's the base bare minimum. That's without anything added on top of that. The NAV premium is 2.6, which is obviously pretty sweet. And the total cost basis is 21 billion with a $13 billion dollar profits on a 62% return percentage. So they're still rocking it in that. And I want to move into some news articles now. This first one that I found, it's pretty powerful. It's how MicroStrategy becomes a symbol of Bitcoin investment strategy. And they kind of talk about how MicroStrategy is now being tied to everybody's Bitcoin investment strategy. In my opinion, everybody should hold Bitcoin. Everybody should hold Bitcoin in cold storage, your keys, your crypto, your keys, your Bitcoin. Bitcoin is perfect money. Bitcoin is digital gold, in my opinion. I love it. I will always have it because of that reason. But I love the addition that MicroStrategy brings to my portfolio for the reasons that we've seen, because it's a levered play on Bitcoin, because it's going to be able to become a Bitcoin treasury company. It already has become one, but it's going to become even a better one over time, offering amazing financial instruments to tons of companies and corporations that can't currently invest in specific things within Bitcoin or crypto, but they can invest in MicroStrategy and things that MicroStrategy are going to create over time. They talk about the bold strategy, how it's a Bitcoin proxy. There is risks of over leveraging, and they talk about that. And then the future outlook. I do like the summary, which is MicroStrategy's all-in approach to Bitcoin, while ambitious and risky, true, offers a fascinating glimpse into the volatile world of cryptocurrencies. As the company continues to navigate this complex landscape, the outcomes will be closely watched by both traditional and digital financial sectors. And that's the point that I want to end on with this article is I believe that MicroStrategy will be the number one talked about stock slash company in 2025 by the financial sector, period. I believe retail is going to start to wake up to it and pile in. I believe the financial sector is going to wake up and start to pile in. I believe funds are going to start to pile in, hedge funds. You've already seen things like Allianz, insurance companies start to pile in. That's my belief. That is my opinion. That is my hope. That is my desire. That is my wish. That is what I think is going to happen. 2025 to me is just an amazing year ahead for MicroStrategy. So let's do this. I wanted to go into this article as well because Rumble invests $20 million in Bitcoin following MicroStrategy's lead. This to me is an important article because it just shows you what I'm seeing, which is there's so many companies out there that are just seeing the 4-year performance of MicroStrategy being the number one performing company in the United States over the past 4 years. There's not even a close second place. So now they're starting to dip their toes in. I mean, this $20 million purchase by Rumble, they're dipping their toe in. Companies like Allianz, they're dipping their toe in to the convertible debt. Yes, $500 million was a huge number, but a tiny percentage of what they have. They're dipping their toes in. And then once they like it and the water feels warm, and believe me, the water feels warm, they're going to put more in and then more. And then as MicroStrategy and Bitcoin outperforms, more and more and more. And again, this is going to be a virtuous cycle. This is going to be a compounding and exponential effect that I believe is going to happen in 2025 and beyond for Bitcoin, for MicroStrategy, and companies that get in on this train. Let's move into some tweets right now. I wanted to share this tweet from the Bitcoin therapist. If MicroStrategy is able to acquire 1 million Bitcoin, they immediately are of national strategic importance to the US. You simply cannot determine from the MNAV is overvalued with a bank in cyberspace that is too big to fail. Most people are thinking too narrowly on this. Again, maybe read through this one more time because this is something really powerful to understand is that If MicroStrategy gets to 1 million Bitcoin, I mean, they will then own 1 million of 21 million Bitcoin. That becomes a critical part of the United States and the United States and the power that the United States holds in the future, which in my opinion is Bitcoin. In my opinion, is MicroStrategy will play a huge role in that future, as the Bitcoin therapist talks about right here. Let's move on to this tab where a parody of Michael Saylor, this is not Michael Saylor, but a parody, just wanted to remind us that Bitcoin hit $19,850 in late November, but stopped short of the psychological 20,000 barrier. 2 weeks later, it broke out into the most significant upward move of the cycle. Patience, my friends, patience. This is an inevitable train, a steamroller that's coming down the tracks. It's going to happen. Just have patience. And again, that's my opinion. I believe it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. I want it to happen. I think the writing's on the wall that it's going to happen. I did want to play this clip right here. You can see it's from Luke posted this, and he just talked about how this is the most bullish Bitcoin interview of all time. This is just a small clip of it, but they talk about how we see a $35,000 MicroStrategy share price, which would obviously be insane. I mean, what is that? That's a huge X. Michael Saylor's infinite money glitch, the Bitcoin forever cycle.
It's $1 million. You're looking at an MSTR share price of a minimum of $35,000 a share at today's dilution. This is why I don't believe in that fucking power law, right? And Spaghetti Boy and his bullshit. Because at the end of the day, you've got so much capital here, and the only thing that's going to happen is an S-curve adoption here. And you're going to hit a J-curve moment where all of this capital not only has to study it, but has to allocate. And because of the finality of the asset, has to allocate now before their competitors do it. So
a term I heard you coin, British, was the forever cycle. Do you think this underpins the forever cycle? What happens when trillions of dollars a year are flowing into Bitcoin to recapitalize that? We're looking at a $2 quadrillion market for Bitcoin, which is 1,000x on where we are now, price-wise. We could wake up to a 10x overnight once one of these central banks gets serious about this. So,
yeah, what happens when MicroStrategy is a $500 billion company, and it's not going to take that long to do that, and then they go and dilute 100% of that, and the share price doesn't move? This gets scary real quickly, because
the biggest pools I look at, and this is where the corporate bond offering is going to get really interesting, I think, circa 300 trillion bond market that MicroStrategy is going to start harvesting really, really hard. I think
the Saylor himself only, MSTR's purchasing only, puts a floor price of $40,000 for the next year, $80,000 for 2026, and it's like, what happens to this quote-unquote bear market, right? So I said, MSTR could blunt this bear market, and I think that
I think the expectation of 21 billion over the next 3 years is going to be light. I think they're going to realize there's a whole lot more capital available than the 21 billion that they're after, and I wouldn't be surprised if that number gets revised upwards 2 to 3 times from here.
Let's not forget, BlackRock is the second largest shareholder in MicroStrategy, right? The reason why this model is working out is because I think, if I was being a conspiracy theorist, that it is a...
All right. If that whets your appetite, they have a lot of cliffhangers and teasers there. Definitely go check out that full episode. Let's move into this, which the Gladiator shares. Everyone who thinks MSTR is overvalued relative to Bitcoin needs to listen to this video. Saylor explains it also simply in such a small time frame. The truth is MicroStrategy isn't overvalued, but incredibly undervalued. Few are prepared for what's coming.
Michael, there's a perception that your stock trades at a premium to the intrinsic value of Bitcoin that you hold in the core business. Is that your view? And if so, what explains it? Is that the Saylor premium?
No, that's only a perception of people that haven't been paying attention or don't really do any research. If you actually logged into our earnings call, or if anybody studied the company, that's kind of like saying there's a perception that Microsoft trades at a premium to its underlying assets. Well, yeah, it does. It trades 50 times greater than its net tangible assets. So does Apple, so does Standard Oil, so does every operating company. So the myth, right, the misunderstanding here is people don't understand what our operating business is. Our operating business is a treasury operation that's securitizing Bitcoin. And the primary use that we offer to the marketplace is we offer high volatility, high leverage equity, like 2x Bitcoin in the equity, or 1.5x Bitcoin. And that's very valuable. If you're an options trader or you're an investor, you would rather have 1.5x or 2x leverage on the equity. And the way that we create that in a systemic fashion is we strip the risk, the performance, and the volatility off of Bitcoin, and we sell fixed income instruments to the fixed income market that can't buy Bitcoin and doesn't want the equity and doesn't want the volatility. So when we sell a convertible bond, at a premium. We might sell $1 billion bond, and we would probably capture 750 million or more in the arbitrage on the day we do the deal. And then if we hold the bond 6 years and Bitcoin goes up 21% a year, we make $3 billion on the back end. So we generate $3.7 billion of shareholder gains by arbitraging the duration on cheap capital with the return on a crypto commodity. And the people that bought the bond can't buy Bitcoin. They're convertible arbitragers, or they're fixed income investors, or they're institutional investors, or they have capital tied up in a 401k retirement plan. So if you understand those things, you realize that, it's kind of like, and I use this analogy, Jan, it's like, if you looked at Standard Oil and you said, well, the company seems to be trading at a premium to the oil reserves. Well, no joke. That's because the company has a refinery and it creates kerosene. You ever try to put crude oil in a rocket, or crude oil in a jet, or crude oil in your car, or pour crude oil on a highway? The point is, you can't. You need asphalt, you need gasoline, you need kerosene, you're refining it. You can't do the refining without the reserves. So the Bitcoin reserves that we have a practical use. The use is they're collateralizing the fixed income instruments, and then they're creating volatility and performance for the equity instruments, which feed the option instruments, which create the volatility. And all of those things together mean that we're just kind of like a transformer. You got 480-volt three-phase power coming in one side of the property, and on the other side, you want to run your daughter's hair dryer, or your or your washer and dryer, or your electric heater, or and we're stepping it down.
Most three-phase electricity will blow out the hair dryer, but I get your point. I think it's
I'm actually making the point that three-phase power is what I use to run my 500-ton yacht, but there's a massive transformer that steps it down, from the street. And what MicroStrategy is doing with its capital is it's transforming high voltage Bitcoin into low voltage securities. And so to focus upon the premium is completely missing what's really going on here. And I'll give you one more number, which I think is pretty important, which is, today, if you look at my tweet, I just noted we generated a yield of 41.8% this year, which is the equivalent of 79,130 BTC. That at 90,000 something a coin, that's $7.3 billion. And so if I told you, if I didn't tell you what we did, and if I didn't tell you how much Bitcoin we have, and the only thing you knew about my company was we generated 7.3 billion in earnings delivered in Bitcoin, and we're growing more than 75% a year, how much do you think the company's worth?
Tremendous amount.
Yeah,
I think that's a great explanation.
And then you would add in the Bitcoin position. So right. Really, the people that are focused on the premium are ignoring the fact that that's a company generating billions and billions of dollars of shareholder value a year.
And there you have it, my friends. Michael Saylor's genius. That's right here at Master MicroStrategy. We are working to learn more of 7 days a week. None of this is financial advice. Consult a financial professional before making any decisions. And please remember, there is no second best.